Representative James Comer can't seem to name any policies that President Biden had changed after allegedly receiving millions and millions of dollars of foreign money. Take a look.
I heard you yesterday refer to them as a crime family, and this was organized crime. So make it easy for us. What was the crime?
Well, the crime is trading policy for money.
Which policy?
Well, we're going to get into that. I mean, look, Joe Biden has, on day one, he changed our energy policy in America that put China first and America last. He went in on day one and ended the China Initiative, which was an investigation at all our public universities of a very organized Chinese spy ring where China was sending students to universities to steal our research and development.
So you're saying because members of the Hunter Biden family and the extended Joe Biden family got money through various foreign entities, including things from China, that the president is compromised?
Absolutely, absolutely.
How's he compromised?
He's compromised because he's taken so much money from China.
Okay, so Biden is compromised because members of his family took money from Chinese companies, yet apparently the other part of that being compromised, which is, again, passing policy based on the alleged bribes, you can't seem to name any of that. But, okay. Okay, then. So, look, for anybody who's unfamiliar, let me tell you how bribes work. Okay, it's pretty simple. So an interested party will give you money in return for something. That is the bribe. Okay. So now, in this case, it would be what? Policy. So what did Joe Biden do for China? What kind of policy did he suddenly pass that was different from what he had done before on China as a result of said bribe? Can you name any one of them? No, all the stuff that is completely unrelated. Again, oh, well, he changed our energy policy. Yeah, because the previous president was Donald Trump, whose energy policy was, burn baby burn, essentially. More coal, more coal. We need lots and lots of fossil fuels. More coal, more all this stuff. Yeah, just dig more coal. Yeah, okay.
Clean coal, meaning they're taking out coal, they're going to clean it.
But again, the Obama administration tried to be a little bit more on the side of green energy. And so what Biden did is kind of return to some of those policies prior to Trump. That doesn't have any connection with these alleged bribes from China. Try again. Again, what now when it comes to foreign policy? So now foreign policy, the Biden administration's, their policy towards China is to try to do more diplomacy. Now, I actually happen to like diplomacy. I think diplomacy is a good idea. And it was just, by the way, what I was saying with Donald Trump and North Korea. I was like, I don't know how this is going to work, but if Donald Trump somehow would get North Korea to denuclearize, and I remember saying this at the time, that would be a good thing. I would be in favor of that, and I'm in favor of diplomacy. In this case, again, I'm in favor of diplomacy as opposed to trade wars or actual wars. Hey, Republicans, is your policy towards China to try to get us into more conflict? Because this seems to be where you want to go. Just saying. And now, of course, trade wars with China, that would also mean average Americans tend to get hurt. So now, that said, obviously, China has serious labor issues. You know who also has serious labor issues? We do. The United States. And so, you want to harp on that, harp on our labor issues as well. That said, a lot of our corporations, and here's where we really get into why things are the way that they are, right? A lot of our corporations manufacture things in China and then send it here. They make a lot of money doing so because they save on labor costs. So when it comes to bribes, you might want to start looking at corporations, US-based corporations. I've said it before. tons of legal bribes in the United States come from corporations and go to politicians on both sides of the aisle. So I believe that this attempt at diplomacy, and look, if you want to point out, recent criticism from all the way back in April, like, oh, there were some sanctions or whatever that the Biden administration is slow walking. Yes, that's right. Well, that would be generally at the behest of corporate profits. Again, because corporations are the entities that are donating to political figures. Those are the ones that are doing the legal bribes in this country, as opposed to shady Chinese person handing Hunter Biden a bag of money. It, again, doesn't make any sense. But here's the other thing too, right? Obviously, Republicans have no proof, no actual tangible proof of anything that's nefarious going on here. No sort of evidence. Okay.
Just forget about the evidence.
But that's what Republicans, James Comer, say. Oh, forget about the evidence, right? We're just going to manufacture stuff, and we're gonna look at some innuendo. Oh, we've got bank records, but none of that, of course, directly ties to your central premise, which is somehow China bribed Biden to do something that he wasn't already going to do. Because he was going to do those things anyway. And again, there's no evidence that any of that money had actually made its way into the hands of Joe Biden. Again, this is all ridiculous. So now, here's the thing. Republicans don't like how Biden is being super aggressive against China like Donald Trump was. And they chalk that up to a conspiracy theory. Because conspiracies and innuendos, it's really all they have. Again, let's get back to the bribes, right? Now, Comer and Republicans, they know how bribes work. Of course, they get legal bribes from corporations all the time. And by the way, pretty much every politician on both sides of the aisle get legal bribes. It's called campaign contributions. They're called independent expenditures. The Supreme Court has made these things 100% legal in the United States. And of course, what happens when you get these legalized bribes is these politicians will do what the corporations tell them to do, what their donors tell them to do. That's how bribery actually works. And James Comer gets bribed literally all the time. By whom? Fossil fuel companies. One big example, pharmaceutical companies. You go down the list of industries, and of course, you're going to have lobbyists from those industries going and giving campaign contributions and doing their lobbying on Capitol Hill to affect the outcome of policy. And by the way, another effect of that is they usually manage to strip out any policies that help average working class people. So there's that. But again, James Comer knows this because he gets millions of dollars from fossil fuel companies who pour billions of dollars every election season cycle into right-wing causes, think tanks, and congressional campaigns. They give Comer money, and Comer does whatever, they want him to do. In this case, Comer and Republicans are using China as a way to prop up the failing coal industry and to try to, pass laws to deregulate fossil fuels and increase fossil fuel use. That's really it. And so it kind of goes back to the whole thing about, well, China is burning coal, so obviously we're helping China by passing green energy. Yeah, that's the ticket. Yeah, that actually doesn't make any sense. No, we can't control other countries, but we can control what we do and how much we put out into the atmosphere by switching over to alternative energy sources. That, by the way, are actually domestic as opposed to, coal, oil, that kind of thing. And again, is better for the environment and health, human health. So, but as I said before, the fossil fuel industry in the halls of Congress, that's where the real bribery is. So if James Comer, if you're so worried about bribes, I mean, you might want to look inside the house, because that's where it's happening.